So I still cannot get that lady story out of my head. I have been talking about it, thinking about it, and it was interesting. And I'm more looking obviously probably at the just psychological processes that landed her in that situation, but also the amount of people who are calling her dumb, who are saying, it would never be them. How could she, ignore all these red flags? She shouldn't have been impressed by the things that he was doing. And I think it's very easy to look at the principle of things. Oh, these are not big deals. He paid for her tire when it blew out. He was paying the bills when he moved into her home, but a big part of that was that she had no real boundary or standard for how she was going to pace herself in this new relationship once she realized that she liked him. So she did not give herself time to get to know this person in any true capacity before she allowed him access into very intimate spaces. And that actually started with him paying to get her tire fixed. So to replace one tire, it's about $100. So at least, depending on the brand of the tire, all that kind of stuff too. So she allowed him to pay for something that was a bit on the expensive side, especially for a date. And so she had already established a dynamic with him where she was going to allow herself to become dependent on him without really knowing him. So I'm just kind of thinking about some of the practical things that she could have done to protect herself so she didn't have to be so. And again, you get it. She was lonely to the point of desperation. I think anybody who's been alone or single long term, how that feels, especially like she said, people around her were coupling up, pairing up, or whatever. They were getting married, you see their lives moving on. And so if you're not in that, you can feel even more isolated. And then she's watching COVID, the pandemic is on the way, and she's seeing all of these things happen, and she's feeling, left out of it. Okay, cool. So I'm just kind of thinking like these are some of the standards and boundaries that she probably should have had to just kind of set herself up for success so that she wouldn't have got. So number one, she should not have allowed him to pay for her tire. She shouldn't have. That's something she should have taken care of herself. If he wanted to accompany her, if he wanted to just meet her where she was or make arrangements to meet her later on, she should have said, no, I've got it. Thank you for the offer, but I got it. And let him respect that. Definitely would not have been quarantining together. I don't care how short term they thought it was. After 2 weeks, if it were me, he wouldn't have even known where I lived yet, much less be moving his stuff in. And if he did come, he would not be paying bills as if he were a resident. So all of those are kind of jumping the gun ahead of time. So she's impressed in large part because she doesn't have any boundaries for herself, any kind of standards for herself to say, you're not even getting in this door yet. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, again, the whole pregnancy thing happened. But by then, he had already ingratiated himself into her life. So the practicality of guarding your heart, guarding your peace, is you have to have standards. You have to have kind of a standard operating procedure, right? We're just not doing this at this point. You wouldn't, and at that point, he was a total stranger. I don't care how much you like the person, they're still a total stranger. You would not give a total stranger access to your credit cards, your driver's license, your social security. Same thing with the house. He's like, oh, I want us to buy a house together. No, dude, I just met you. If you want to buy a house, you go buy yourself a house. And if the relationship progresses to the point where we decide to build a life together, then we will discuss whether I move into that house or if we decide to get a brand new house together. But what you're not going to do, which is exactly what he did, was drag her all over and play with her time and play with, her life and her information And then, you know, she kept getting disappointed and disappointed. No, he shouldn't have even been in position to do that. So I think when we talk about, you know, just kind of guarding yourself and making sure that you're being smart, and that's not even just dating, that's just relationships, period. You got to set some standards, right? The standard operating procedure. This is what I need to see from you in order to feel comfortable moving forward. And this is the next step in moving forward. We're not going from 0 to 60. We're going from 0 to 5 to 10 to 15. You get what I'm saying? You gotta cross some checkpoints. You have to show consistency. So she didn't, and this is not to victim blame, and this is not to put on her necessarily. Well, and she took accountability for the choices and the things that she allowed to happen. But a big part of it too was that she actually didn't give him an opportunity to demonstrate his intentionality or his consistency. She really readily accepted whatever he gave her. No questions asked. Even I was listening to when he showed her the Chase bank account, and it made me think about this book I had read, and it was a similar situation where the guy was basically running a long con on the lady, and for whatever reason he had told her he was divorced, and he had the divorce decree in like the glove compartment of his car. Why are you running around with your divorce decree in the glove compartment of your car? And it wasn't until she realized that he had been playing her all this time, because it turned out, I don't know, he wasn't fully divorced. I don't know, something happened. But then later she's looking back and she's like, why was that so accessible to you? So anytime somebody's shoving something in your face without you even asking for it, especially, you know, deeply, seemingly personal information, that type of stuff, ask those questions. That's weird. That's weird. Why are you doing weird things without me even asking you for it? So that's all I gotta say. I'm just about done. But you gotta give people a chance to demonstrate their consistency. You have to give people a chance to demonstrate their intentionality. If you are going to jump at everything that they tell you and believe it at face value, then you open yourself up to being played, to being disappointed. So I never want to victim blame. I never want to make anybody feel like, you know, because dude was still dead wrong, but she really did not give him an opportunity to demonstrate his consistency, and therefore did not give herself the opportunity to protect herself. And she clearly paid very dearly for it. Wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, but guarding your heart takes practicality, it takes intentionality, and it takes strategy and logistics. All right, y'all, good night. Thank you for joining. Bye.